have to be on that biennial and there and there and at that fair. Now it's getting more important again, actually, where do you live and what is your surrounding? And there's so much going on what you maybe haven't seen in the last years, even if you live in that area, in that city. The first question, it's a quite difficult one, maybe because we don't, or I don't know actually which kind of ways we're going to go in the next steps. Despite all this creative input, what we see on the media, social media, artists have now a lot of time to read books, to rethink their things, what they've done before. Actually, in my surrounding, at least here in Berlin, it's quite the opposite one. In one way, they try to, or I see it on the social media, that they don't want to, show their weakness. So a lot of artists actually really suffer because of this lack of physical meetings, and all this kind of economic crash which is going on. So they're quite depressive, they're not so creative, they're also struggling somehow with that situation. And of course something is coming out, but I believe always fast things never can, good quality of art, they always need time. Very fast, just a kind of a very superficial reaction to that situation, I think, is not really, worth to see it at the moment, at least. We're all gonna see how this is going to influence our art. So, considering the situation that the physical meetings are not so possible at the moment, though the media came into the media became a bigger role inside of that. So what we see is that, in all the other fields also the visual art, the art market, galleries, museums, they all try to do something now over the media to get in connections with people. It's something where I think also museums and also artists really neglected this point in a way, because let's say my experience is also that you can reach so many people, so much more people in a way, in a different way, sometimes even in a better way than you are maybe meeting them inside of an exhibition, very short period of time, video stuff inside of this digital age, like what we do now here also. Somebody can, over the internet, watch it and watch it again and again, so they can really take their time with it and got so much more informations of exhibitions, of the background of the works, directly from the artist, directly from the curator. So I think that's really valuable. That's something really what we also in a post-pandemic situation we should continue to foster, to work with it, and because I think you can reach so many people with it in a way that this kind of tool, you have to use it. I mean, if something is changing, then I think despite this whole digital and social media, I see also that it could be in a situation of pandemic, like social distancing, that it's going to be more local again. So the focus is going to be more local from the collectors, from the artists, from the visitors. So I guess, like what I experience at the moment also is that like in Berlin especially, that they again concentrate on the people and the potential of the city, so of the locals. So what kind of potential we have in that city, and that we really begin again not to go to a show in Paris and then to an art fair somewhere else, and then with the plane again somewhere else. What I see is now that the people are really going from one exhibition to the other inside of their cities, and exploring also new artworks, new artists inside of their city, and not so much international. That's what I see at the moment, which is very interesting, because that's something also which is very neglected, I think, in a way that everything is going global and so international, and you have to be on that biennial and there and at that fair. Now it's getting more important again, actually, where do you live, and what is your surrounding, and there's so much going on what you maybe haven't seen in the last years, even if you live in that area and that city. Here the priority is changing, yes, but what we see now is also that there is a new exploration of the importance of arts, of film, of music, of visual arts, of theater. So at that moment where you don't have this, then you see, oh man, how important was that for me? And without that, what I'm doing inside of the life, So I have the feeling that even, let's say, after the pandemic, the appreciation of arts are raising at the moment. So that's my perception at the moment, how people see it. So, and also they really care about the artists, about the actors, about the musicians, all of these people who really suffer at the moment a lot because they don't have, let's say, a proper job, or they got still an income. They always were in a crisis somehow, at least the most of them. So somehow they're used to handle it maybe, but as I said before, that from outside, from the people who usually never thought about the situation, also about the economic situation, and also the situation how to be creative in these moments, that people really understand or try to understand it, and try also to help in that way. And that's my impression at the moment, and the shifting somehow inside of the society, at least here in Germany. So I'm happy about that even this is happening. From a global perspective, I don't know yet. I think that's something which is quite important somehow, how the government is reacting or also helping in that way. We have to consider that art is not just objects which are hanging on the wall or sculptures or whatever. There is also this kind of lot of social art, let's say, yeah, where it is crucial to work with people, to work with the surrounding, to work with local people also for a lot of artists. So we often forgot this kind of field in the arts, and I think that's so important, to find ways to still support this kind of art practice in the situations where social come together are not in that way possible as it was before. So that's not that an artist can't show it works from one moment to the other. It's more about the people who are not the artists, who work with the artists, or the artists who work with children, with people with people in exile, refugees, whatever. There are so many art projects which are really important, what we very often don't see in museums, what we very often don't see in galleries, but the government have to really foster and protect and support this kind of projects for the civil community. That's I think it's one of the main things. And also not to forget in another way that of course a lot of artists live from sales. That's also a fact, and that there is also that they think about, the governments, how actually to support this kind of art market also in a way that it is important for the surviving and the livelihood of the artist. Yeah? Not to think, oh, that's just a few very rich galleries and artists. From my experience, there are so many other artists who really survive of these sales of private collections, of museum collections. So one way would also be to raise, for example, the amounts of money for buying for the collections of the museums of the cities or of the state. So in this way you can really help a lot of in a lot of levels. So one, to build up museum collections in a better way, that they're not so, let's say, addicted on private collections, that the private collectors, big important ones, don't dictate the things, the program of the museums. So and also it helps then the galleries, and at the end a lot the artists to who then can make their livelihood with the sold pieces, and the art pieces are going, of course, in a museum, which is always important for artists, but I think it's a win-win situation for everybody.